this was a thing that I learned about my own internal homophobia, which I didn't think I had, right? And I think we all have, because you can't be raised the way we were and not carry it with you somewhere. But I'll give you an example. When people used to ask me when I first saw Nightmare on Elm Street, what did I think? And I saw it at MGM, right, on an IMAX screen, and with very powerful industry people in the audience. And this was the first time that I was going to play an all-American boy. You know, I had played many versions of crazy and nuts. I played transgendered person, felt completely comfortable with that when I was doing Jimmy Dean with Robert Altman. And I had no problem with any of that. But to play what I thought was a normal boy, in my head was like not possible, and was Mount Everest, right? So I used to say when I saw myself, people would say, what did you see? You know, and I'd say, oh, you know, it was a movie star finally, it's like all my dreams came true, all that kind of stuff, and it's not the truth. And I learned to tell the truth. What I saw when I saw that was, I thought, oh my God, I look like a big fan, and my career is over. That's what I thought. And that's horrible, you know what I mean? That's really horrible. And so I had to deal with that, you know, and like, I mean, I'm you know, a man now, I'm a political activist is what I really am. And I'm very comfortable with who I am. It took me a long time to be myself, to be comfortable with the way my hands move, the way my walk is, the sensualness of me as a homosexual, right? Because I had to cover all that up. Like when I would go to, I think I'm a good actor, but by the time I got a film, they had seen many different versions of me. I mean, there was a version of me that walked into the casting director's office. Generally, the casting director was a homosexual. It was his job to get rid of the homosexuals, right? So there was that. And then the next, and then the next, and then the next. I had my friend Dennis Christopher, to tell you how toxic that world was, he was hired to do the film Ordinary People, right? And Dennis Christopher fired him, right? And the reason they fired him, and his agent said, why are you firing him? You know, isn't he fabulous? They'd seen the Russians. They were like, yeah, but we decided to leave the camera on for 2 days when he was off, not working. And we don't like that person. That person we don't think we can sell. We love him in the movie. And they fired him and replaced him with Tim Hutton. And Tim Hutton won the Academy Award for that one. That's what Hollywood was like at that time. And also, you've got it, although it's completely and utterly illegal, when you sign a contract, you take a physical and they take your blood, right? So you know what 1985 was like, for you old enough to remember it. It was terrifying, you know, because we were all living in fear of dying, really. I mean, you young people here, I love you, you know. And I wanted, and Scream Queen does sort of take you down this road a little bit. It's a deep dive into what this street would have looked like in 1985. And for those of us who are old enough to remember, it was terrifying. And we want to empower you young people, right, to have the tools, in case all that happens again, that you can take care of each other. If somebody signs a hideous law like they did in 1935 in Germany, then we know how to resist that law. And we know how to do it with information and a brotherhood and a sisterhood that holds us together no matter what. None of us, no matter our political affiliations at this point, none of us are the enemy. None of us are the enemy. And we want to tell that story over and over and over again so you get prepared. Because we saw a lot of death and horror in 1985, but we developed a family. And your gay marriage now has very much to do with the AIDS epidemic. Had it not happened, you wouldn't be getting married. It was a quantifier of power, you know what I mean? Because we always said, like, well, what if all the gay people turned purple, right? Then you couldn't deny them. And then they all turned purple, and you couldn't deny it, right? Like, because when the boys started coming home. So we want to empower that all the way through the next generation so that you can pick up your tools, get married, have fun, have a fabulous life, be yourself, and let nobody, absolutely nobody, ever fuck with you. You know? I have my answer now, and it was worse than I thought. Last night, I had to sleep, so I fell into a trance. Soon I was dressed and walking, and I could feel him inside of me. I could not see him, but I could hear him whispering poetry into my mind. Kill for me. It was as if he were writing me.
He was inside me, and I could feel him taking control again, but slowly. He made a mistake when he let me look into his mind, and I know more than he thinks I do, so I felt okay. I knew I could handle it. In the trance, we walked in the dark to the end of the street. A red light was blinking. I was very hot and nervous, and so he made it rain slightly to cool me off. The light was an entrance to a club, a strange, dirty S&M place. Men and women everywhere, dressed in leather. Some held props or leashes. It felt dirty. I seemed to have a golden light around me, and that was him. I went to the bar and ordered a beer, thinking to myself, I know I'm dreaming now because the monster behind the bar did not card me. Sorry. Then it began for a little. A hand touched mine, and then roughly embraced me. It was the teacher from school. In my mind, I knew what would happen next. He walked me out of the bar and into his car, and he began to drive. It was very quiet. He drove to the school and took me to the gym, where he asked me nicely to run around the strange light. He was viewing me, tasting me with his eyes. I knew he meant to rape me, and I was all alone, no voice in my head. He shoved me against some of the chairs, and I felt my ribs break. This was the real beginning, and I was scared. After he shoved me into the chairs and broke my ribs, he hit me on the neck with a jump rope, the first blood. He said very calmly, give me all your clothes and take a shower. I heard a voice in my head, my demons, telling me to relax, and I should do as he was told. I went to the shower, shaky and cold. The hot water felt good, but I could not trust it as I knew I was in terrible danger. I could see him in the office. He was looking for something, and then he put my clothes in a safe, shut the door, and turned the lock. He was coming for me. Suddenly the shower made a strange noise and began to turn into steam. I fell into a trance as he began speaking poetry to me again. We have work to do, you and me. Kill for me. It will be fine. It'll feel good. Then, like a movie, it began. He became me. With his mind, he roped the teacher and tied him to the wall. He beat him with the many objects. He was screaming. There was no doubt he slashed and stabbed him to death. He sodomized him with a stick, as if to give a gift to my friend for being mean to me. And suddenly, I was me again. He was gone, and I was covered in blood, holding the knife contraption. I tried to clean it, but the water turned to blood. I have no clothes, I have no shoes. So I walked into the rain and began to clean myself with prayer.